Is Jeff still causing the feedback?
I think Jeff got it figured out now.
Okay.
Because I don't hear any.
I think I'm just gonna have to use the laptop.
All right, I don't see Lang on here, so
He's coming in right now.
okay, there we go. All right, we're going to call the Finance Committee meeting to order. Present are council members Lang, Harris, Bub. Oh, I don't see Blake. And Marmy. Dee, do you want to sit in for Jeremy until he arrives?
Sure.
Okay. So I have Hall sitting in for Blake. First item on the agenda is a request for appropriation in the amount of $1,415.
Hey, Doug,
Yes,
I just want to see if you could hear me.
yes.
Okay, good. Good. We did. All right.
I guess I can go ahead and address that if you want. It's a resignation in the clerk of courts, and it's for a payout for vacation and compensated absence.
I'll offer a motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Bub, a second by Lang. Any questions and or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by thumbs up. Okay. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda is a request for appropriation in the amount of $433,410.
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is the appropriation for our CARES Act CDBG coronavirus funds. The city of Newark was awarded $433,410. And the appropriation shows our wages and benefits that we are estimating that we'll have for the remainder of this year to administer the program. And the largest figure that you see under contingency of $410,810, it's under contingency because while we know exactly what we're spending the money for, it's for rental assistance, mortgage assistance, and utility payment assistance, we just don't know how much is going to be allocated to each of those. And so as we get those requests coming in, we'll go to Mr. Johnson's office and we'll get the appropriate account numbers to allocate those to. Any questions?
I'll offer a motion.
Yeah, I'll second.
I have a motion by Bub, second by Lang. Any questions or discussion? Yes, Mr. Lang.
Yeah, Mr. Motter, thanks for bringing this forward. I just want to understand what's the process for citizens to go about, requesting money from the contingency fund, and how does that process work?
Sure. There will be an application process because, again, these are CDBG funds, which means they have to be used specifically for low to moderate income persons in our community. So we will have a application and they'll have to submit all their information income-wise. That will have to be verified before we can make the requested amounts to them.
Just one follow-up, if I could. Are there deadlines that folks will have to meet to apply for this assistance?
No, we really anticipate this not only going through the remainder of 2020, but probably into 2021 as well. That's a fair amount of money that we have to distribute. And so as of this time, Jonathan, no, there are no deadlines.
And do you know offhand the qualifications for meeting that low income threshold to be qualified?
Yeah, it's for CDBG, it's 80%. Low to moderate income is what that is based upon. That 80% level comes to us from part of the City of Columbus metropolitan area. And we have a chart in our office that guides us for, whether it's a family of 1, 2, 3, 4, et cetera.
80% of what?
80% of the poverty level.
The poverty. Okay,
During
sorry,
time.
you cut out before. Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions? Mark, I've got a question. So these aren't tied to, the CARES Act that, funds have to be utilized, or at least there has to be POs on them by the end of the year.
I'm sorry, you're asking if there has to be a PO done, Doug?
Right.
Well, I would imagine there would be, just like everything else that we have to have a PO for in order to distribute the funds.
Well, no, I mean, all the other CARES Act money that has a deadline, that everything has to be done by a certain date, and it actually has to be spent by December 28th. So the CDBG funds are different than all the others?
Yeah, now I understand a little better, Doug. So yes, for example, the money coming from the county, I think the mayor was on a deadline there, but we are not on a deadline for this.
Okay, very good. I just wanted to clarify that.
Sure.
Very good. Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by thumbs up. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much.
Thank
Next
you.
item on the agenda is a request for appropriation in the amount of $2,947.87.
Good evening, committee members. The first one, these are both in reference to our Department of Corrections grants. The first one is our ISP jail diversion grant. The original budget for that was done in fiscal year 2019. Sometimes it's difficult to actually pinpoint the workers' compensation amount due to the rate change. So we need to move $2,600 into the workers' comp line item in order to cover that for fiscal year 2021. Actually, it'll be calendar year 2021, but it'll be deposited into the appropriate line item at the end of this year for the beginning of next year.
Okay, and the refunds are?
Oh, the refunds are that's in our incentive money that we receive for our performance and our probation improvement and incentive grant. So the state asked us to do an itemized list of purchases for FY16 and 17, which I did complete that. I returned it back to them, and after we did that, it said that we owed $347.87. So we need to appropriate money in that account to give back to the state.
Okay, very good.
I'll offer a motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Bub, second by Lang. Any questions and or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by thumbs up. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is a request for appropriation in the amount of $8,907.
I can address this one, Mr. Marmy. This is just moving some money from one TIF account to another. Since there's sub-funds, we have to disappropriate it, reappropriate it. It's the River Road TIF that needs a little additional money. There wasn't much history on it when budgeting was done, so we're coming up just a little bit short. So we just have to move it, put it back in the unappropriated balance and reappropriate it.
Okay, so the first one we'll do is the appropriation.
I'll offer a motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Bub, second by Lang. Any questions and or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by thumbs up. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0. I'd entertain a motion for the disappropriation for the same amount.
So move.
I'll second.
Motion by Bub, second by Lang. Any questions and or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by thumbs up. Those opposed, same sign. And that motion for the disappropriation passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda is a resolution amending Resolution 19-74, authorizing and directing the mayor of the city of Newark to prepare and submit to the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development a 5-year consolidated plan and a 1-year use of funds action plan, along with an application for fiscal year 2020 federal community development block grant funds as required by 24 CFR Part 91.220 for various programs related to housing and community development and declaring an emergency.
Wow.
Mark,
Where's
you're
Mark?
on mute. I think he just, oh, there
All
he
right.
is.
How's that?
Yep.
Sorry about that. Mr. Chairman, this is the legislation that pertains to the allocation that we just discussed a little earlier for the CDBG coronavirus funds. With CDBG funds, you have to do a 5-year consolidated plan as well as an annual action plan. And with these additional funds, we just need to amend both of these, and this is the legislation that will allow us to do so.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
A motion by Lang, second by Bub. Any questions and or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by thumbs up. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much, Director.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is a request for appropriation amount of $22,339.33.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. These are grant dollars from the Licking County Foundation for the Horns Hill Park improvements. These are donated monies that we've raised that have went to the foundation. They're coming into the city so we can pay part of a bill.
I'll offer a motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Bub, second by Lang. Questions and or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by thumbs up. Those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Next item on the agenda is a resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor.
This is a housekeeping thing that we do every year about this time. These are the tax rates as assigned to the city. We have no voted millage, so we qualify just the fact that we're a city for 3.1 mils. We also receive another 0.6 of a mil for the accrued liability of the Police and Fire Pension Fund, which is brought about by the fact that the fund was woefully underfunded back when it began. So every city was assigned an amount to basically pay it back. So we're given millage to provide the funding for that. This is something that the Clerk of Council has to file by October 1st with the Budget Commission, or she'll be cited by the auditors. So this should be expedited.
I'll offer a motion.
I have a motion by Bub,
I'll second.
second by Lang. Steve, when you say that it has to be expedited, so even if we waive the 2-day reading rule, doesn't it take 30 days to go into force? So do you need the emergency clause?
Yeah, it has to be, the clerk has to file this by October 1st. So I think if it's not expedited, we probably would miss that deadline. It's not the end of the world. She'll just be cited by the auditors.
Right. So should we add the emergency clause to this? So
Probably
then it,
should.
so then it's
Probably should.
immediately,
Yeah, probably should. And the county was very late getting this to us this year.
okay. I'm going to offer an amendment then to add the emergency clause. I'll make a motion for that amendment.
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Marmy, a second by Bub to amend this legislation to add the emergency clause. Any questions or discussion on that? Seeing none, we're voting on the adding the amendment. All those in favor of adding the emergency clause signify by thumbs up. All those opposed, same sign. That passes 5-0. Now we have the legislation as amended. So is there any further questions or discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by thumbs up. All those opposed, same sign. That motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is a nope, that's it for this. My next piece of paperwork is actually for regular council. With that, this finance committee meeting stands adjourned. Next is service.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
We will call this service meeting to order. Those present are myself, Harris, Barker, Blake, and Bub. There he is. Okay. Up first on the agenda, we'll consider resolution number 20-66,
Make
a
it big
resolution
again.
authorizing the city of Newark, Ohio to enter into a marketing agreement with Utility Service Partners Label, Inc., BSP, DBA Service Line Warranties of America
That thing.
for advertisement to the city's residents of warranty plans for
At the
repairs
bottom.
of external
And
water
you
lines,
leave.
external sewer lines, in-home plumbing on residential property. And who's speaking?
That would be me. Yeah, this is a program that we've been thinking about for several years, trying to review different programs that are out there. But basically, what the city would end up doing is we would negotiate into a marketing agreement with this company, and they would do all the marketing. We really don't do anything. We don't send anything out. We really don't do anything. We just allow them, and we endorse this insurance program for people to insure their water and sewer lines and for in-home plumbing if they wanted to. And we're really not even allowing them to work within the city. We're just endorsing them. They could work within the city if they wanted to. People, you could buy this insurance plan today if you would like to. There's no, there's no restriction on that we have to endorse anything. And some of you may have gotten some promotion on this stuff in the past or the number of years, but this is just basically an insurance company that's insuring water and sewer lines. We've talked to a number of other cities and seem to be happy with this program that they're endorsing. Seems like a good company. They're endorsed by Ohio Municipal League. They're also endorsed by American Water Works Association. And again, it's just a program where we would, in fact, endorse or advocate or encourage people to join. They would do all the marketing. They would do all the billing. We would do nothing with collecting money or anything like that. Gives people an opportunity. If their water line breaks, it has them, you have insurance against that, and they would hire the company to come out and fix that for them at no additional cost. And
Roger.
They would be the
who would hire the plumbing company to come out and make the repairs?
This company, the Home Serve company, which is the insurance company. They would do all the. If you in fact had that insurance, you're paying the money to the insurance. You would call them and say, "Hey, my water line's leaking. they would send somebody out. They hire local contractors to come out and do the work. And who would be, would know where to get the plumbing permits and all that kind of stuff. It'd be some local contractor that would do the work, and they would pay them. And again, all we're doing is just entering into a marketing agreement, and they would basically, and we're just endorsing them. Somebody called in and say, yeah, we endorse this product. It's a good product, and you can sign up for it if you want to. If you don't want to, you don't have to. You don't do anything. It just allows them to market it within, and not even really allow. They can market it within the city if they wanted to. Anyway, all we're doing is endorsing it.
So Roger, if we give them our endorsement, does that give them exclusivity?
No, nope.
Or can other insurance companies come in and market
Yep.
this product?
Yeah, other insurance companies could come in and market the product as well. We would just be endorsing this.
Future, thank you. If we, let's say I signed up for this insurance company, and much like auto insurance, if I have a wreck, I can take it to the auto body shop that I want. If I have a plumber that I prefer, am I able to do so, or am I at the mercy of the insurance company?
It's my understanding that they have several plumbers that they would be contracted with. I think they would use their plumber to do the work. I can verify that, though. I believe that's what they said when we talked to them. But they may give you a choice. I'm not sure, but obviously they're looking at costs and to try and get it done. But it would be somebody that we licensed within the city.
So you can use my favorite plumber as long as it's on their list.
I'll verify that. I'm not sure that's the case, but we verify that.
Do we have any other questions? Mr. Blake?
Roger, I was hoping you could speak to the table that's talking about the 50 cents per contract per month and the number of unlimited calls. If you could, that table, I think it's on page 2.
Right. So here's the option we have, and there's some good things about this and bad things about it. If we endorse this, we could put a 50-cent fee on there that would come back to the city. And what a number of cities have been doing is they take that money and use that for helping out low income people that can't afford to fix their water line. They build up a fund, they put that 50 cents into a fund and say, okay, and certainly have to be something that would probably be administered maybe through community development or something like that. It'd be some money that would come in, and people that would qualify could then, the city would have a fund of money to do those kind of things, or we could just use it for whatever. I'm not advocating we collect the extra 50 cents. It's just an extra 50 cents that somebody has to pay every month. And we don't really, we're not doing anything, so we don't really want the extra money. But I do think the one good thing is, and I would leave it up to you guys, if you wanted us to do that, we can. If not, we don't really have to. But it would be some benefit to some members of the community that couldn't afford. We do get cases where people can't afford to fix their water lines or their sewer lines and that kind of thing. But there had to be some way to administer that money on an equitable kind of basis. But it is an option that is there. I thought I'd throw it out there just so everybody knew it was there. I want somebody, at least to give their opinion about it and say yeah, we want to do that, or no, we don't want to do that. Again, it would be an extra 50 cents for everybody that would sign up for it. But it would also could go to and there's nothing that says it has to go to that kind of fund either. It could just go back into our revenue funds and we could spend it however. There's no restriction on how that money comes. That's just the one option that I thought if you did do that, I wouldn't be opposed to something like that. If it was just coming back into our revenue account, I would say let's not do that and just charge. They can charge the 50 cents less to the people if they wanted to join it. So that's what that's all about. So. And that's something we would negotiate, that we'd have the service director negotiate if that's what you wanted to do. So
you're talking about creating a fund funded by the 50 cents per client. And that fund would go towards making repairs of houses where people just couldn't afford to do it themselves and didn't have the insurance.
Yes, that's what we were talking about doing.
Mr. Bud, did you have a question? Ryan, did you have a question?
I don't know.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, Jeff, I do.
Go ahead.
Okay, so why are we endorsing this company versus companies that already have that under their homeowner policy? It's allowed on their homeowner policy, and are these how is this going to be advertised, so on and so forth?
I mean, you're the insurance person. I don't believe anybody has that type of coverage on most of their homeowners policies. They have maybe a backup policy.
State Farm does.
They have a water line program.
Yes, we sure
Okay.
do.
Okay. It's just a way to promote it out there so that people would know it's there and they can use it. They're certainly welcome to use State Farm as well. There's nothing. We're not really limiting anybody else from getting any other kind of insurance. This is just the one that we would endorse, that they could go out and get individually separate insurance if they wanted to do it. Yeah, and certainly if people have it, we've never had anybody that I know of here in Newark use insurance to replace their water line. So it'd be interesting to see.
Doug, do you know if that's standard amongst your competitors? Or
No, it's something that's new to the industry that's coming out, and that's what most insurance carriers are starting to put it onto their homeowners policy, because it was never covered in between the house and the road. So it's a way to make sure that they're adequately covered for that protection too.
And that wouldn't restrict State Farm or anybody else from doing that. It would just be one that we would be endorsing to say, okay, yeah, we would approve it, or not really approve. We're just saying it's.
We know this is a good and reputable company, and we are okay with them if that's what you want.
So,
and they would do a lot of direct marketing to all the customers, which I mean, I guess State Farm could do that too. I don't think they would typically just do that to everybody in the city of Newark, but even though, I mean, they specifically targeting to that group of people, but they may do a general.
Here's my concern: if there's any issues, can it come back to the city since we endorsed this company? Is there any liability?
We probably have to get the law director involved to make sure. I think they looked this over, and Caroline looked over, and I think we didn't see any real problems with us endorsing it. Other cities have done it without any issues, so maybe Doug can speak to that briefly.
This wouldn't create any liability exposure at all by endorsing this.
Okay. Any other questions? Yeah, Mr. Bob.
Yep. Yes, Roger, just real quick again, what's the reason why you want to endorse this?
It's just we have a number of people that end up with very expensive repairs to their water and sewer lines. They don't really know that you can get insurance for this kind of thing, and that's really all we're just kind of promoting. Is here's another way that you can get insurance to fix that without having to pay a large amount of money. I mean, some people getting into the thousands and thousands of dollars of repairs, and so that's all we're doing, is just a way to promote a way for people to afford getting their water and sewer lines fixed. So
when they can do this already now, these
right.
can do that. So I mean, are they going to be using the city of Newark's like seal or endorsement, or what? How?
We would just endorse it. We do get every once in a while, these mailers will go out and the people are calling it, and they think maybe it's a scam or something like that. And all this is doing is saying, yeah, we think this is a reputable company. You can use them if you would like. Again, like what Doug said, if that's what they're doing with State Farm, certainly they could go to any insurance company then to do that. I can't tell you exclusively who all offers that program. There may be a lot more companies that offer it. We're just endorsing one.
Mr. Harris, you had a question?
Yeah, I know if you guys have Columbia Gas, if you look on your bill, there's like a $3 or $4 charge on there, and that's for like a insurance charge. So if your gas line leaks on your property, It used to be you had to call a plumber and the plumber would come out and charge you an arm and leg. With that fee now, Columbia Gas will come out and replace all your lines for free because you're paying that extra $3 or $4 a month on your gas bill. So I think that's something similar to that, correct, Roger? Is that what you're, just to help
Similar to
the
that.
people?
It's
to
similar to
do
that.
it?
We looked at the city taking over responsibility of all those lines and charging some money. You know, certainly that can happen. There's some administrative costs to that, and then we're into that. I mean, I think I talked to one city. They actually pay the insurance, which is probably what Columbia Gas is doing. They pay the insurance company themselves, and then they take care of that stuff. And so that's just kind of part of the cost of doing business. I'm not. We kind of talked it here internally for. I mean, let's say we've been talking about this for several years. With we talked about it. Can we do that? Can we just pay for that? And kind of in the end decided that probably isn't the direction we wanted to go. But there are, there are some options. I mean, we could physically take everything over and not have any insurance and just raise the rates and pay for everybody's stuff, which is kind of like having insurance. This seemed to be the easiest solution to try and encourage people to make sure they're covered, so that when they don't have a huge expense. I mean, it is kind of disheartening sometimes to, we have to tell somebody they got a water line break on their line and it's thousands of dollars and they have no money. And to have this option, and not that everybody's going to take this option, but at least they would have an option. And that's all we're trying to advocate for and promote. And certainly if somebody come in, we can say, hey, check with other insurance. I mean, if you have homeowners, you can check with them too. But this is who we would endorse. So
I'll offer a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Bub, seconded by Harris. Any other further questions or comments at this time?
Hey, Jeff, real quick, I can just tell you the person we've been dealing with on this did send me an email and said that you would have to use the plumber in their local network to do the work. So.
Okay. I know I'd be interested in finding out what their local network is.
I'm sure as when that announcement goes out and who they're working with, they would probably give you that list. Okay, here's who we would work with, kind of thing. But I can check that out too. But
I'd like to know that before I vote on this, to be honest with you. Not necessarily tonight, but before I vote on it on full council.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they won't have until we endorse it. They're probably not going to have a list of plumbers, but
if you can get a better.
But I can get a better idea who they would be dealing with. So
yeah. My biggest obstacle is, or my biggest concern is, I don't like legislating a monopoly. So if they have one plumbing company that they're going to work with in the entire city of Newark, and we're going to endorse an insurance company that's going to go out and sell this insurance to everybody, and those people are only going to work with one plumbing company because of this insurance company, I would be opposed to that. So, any other questions or comments? All right.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Doug.
I'm just going to put in my 2 cents, and I know the law director states that we have no liability, but I know in the line of business that I work in, whenever you refer exclusively, you're basically doing only one company. The implication, the implied is that that's the company you want somebody to go with. So if they choose that company, then you're basically saying the city of Newark wants you to use that company. And so, if something does go wrong, if the law director says there's no liability coming back on the city of Newark, I know there's been litigation out there before that if you only give a referral of one name, then you're basically saying that's the name of the company that they need to work with. So I probably will not be in favor of this because there's only one company that we're endorsing.
Okay, fair enough. Mr. Blake, you're muted.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to point out that on the within the language of implementation, that they will use the city logo within their materials. So it's written on the page 2 So I just want to make that aware to everybody that they are going to use our city logo.
Okay, any other comments, questions? So yeah, Roger, if you can let us know more about the companies that they may be using. I'm sure they didn't come into this without an idea of who they're going to be working with. So if they're selling us already without our endorsement, then they've got to have somebody locally that they do work with. So if we can get a list of those companies, I'd be happy with that. Sounds like we've got some questions. But nonetheless, all those in favor of passing this on to council signify with a thumbs up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All opposed, same sign. All right, that'll pass on to council with a vote of 5-0.
And I'll get you the answers or try to get some answers to you. So
thank you, sir. I appreciate that. All right, up next, we'll consider resolution 20-68, a resolution authorizing and directing the director of public service of the city of Newark, Ohio to advertise for bids and enter into a contract for the rebuilding of 2 belt press dewatering systems at the wastewater treatment plant.
yeah, these are 2 pieces of equipment we have at the wastewater plant. We rebuilt these about 16 years ago. They're generally got about a 15-year life. And since we've done this the last time, there's several companies that are involved in this kind of rebuild process. And so we will need to bid this project out because it's about $250,000 or $215,000 a piece is a rough estimate on the cost. So there's 2 of them. So we're going to be about $430,000 in the rebuild. And basically there are 2 or 3 companies that are in the belt press business, and that's who does the rebuilds as well. So it's basically coming in, rebuilding the infrastructure, the piece of equipment, new bearings, new rollers. It's a machine that runs under high pressure and it dewaters our biosolids before we land apply it. So it's got significant hours on them. They run significant hours every week, and they're under high pressure, and so that's why the bearings and the rollers do wear and have a tendency to wear out and break. And so our request here is to advertise for bids and enter into a contract for the repair of these, or the rebuilding of these 2 units. And we have specifications already started and just about complete for this project. You're welcome to review those if you want, but basically it's just bearing sizes, types, and things like that that'll have to go into this rebuild. So this will be funded through wastewater funds. As you all know, we do have a what's called equipment replacement fund that we put $150,000 into every year. That's what that fund is used for, is to replace and repair existing equipment at the plant. And so that will come out of that fund. That's not our unappropriated balance, and that's an actual fund that we keep money in. And there's about $700,000 or $800,000 in there right now, and that's how that will be funded for those repairs. So,
Okay. Any questions, comments? I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion.
Motion
Second.
by Parker, seconded by Bub. Any other further questions or comments? All in favor of sending this on to council, signify with thumbs up. All opposed, same sign. That motion will carry with a 5-0 vote. Thank you, Mr. Loomis. Up next, we have resolution number 20-70, a resolution authorizing the granting of an easement over certain real property now owned by the city of Newark, Ohio. I believe that I will be speaking to this one. Mr. Moorhead communicated with me earlier, and then most recently that his phone is dead. So I'll relay his communications with me. This is for a, I'm going to have to look it up now because I forget the name of the road. There it is. This is for the sale of the property at 401 Buena Vista Street. What happened was they had put a driveway access point in back in the 90s, early 90s, and never got an easement. They're trying to facilitate the sale of this property. It's been I guess it's been a nightmare to get everything together. This is just another piece of the nightmare. It's been about a 4-month process in trying to facilitate the sale, but they're simply asking for us to grant an easement for a driveway access that's already been put in place since the 90s. They are trying to expedite this. I don't see a reason to put an emergency clause. I don't see where it qualifies in this case. However, next time when this comes to council, we can ask to waive the 2-day reading rule. Mr. Sassen.
I would disagree with you, Mr. Chairman. These folks have been inconvenienced as a result of this road relocation project that the city conducted back in the early 90s. They're trying to sell their property here. They have a closing date set before the end of the month. They need this easement granted before the title company can issue closing documents. And the only way for this easement to be granted is if we were to expedite this legislation with the emergency clause. I think it clearly fits within the definitions of Article 4.8 of the 4.6 of the 06 of the charter, if 7 members of council agree. And I would recommend that someone in committee tonight make a motion to add the emergency clause to this piece of legislation.
Well, I'm not a lawyer and I've never played one on TV, so I'm not going to argue with you.
I'll make the motion to add the emergency clause.
All right, we have a motion on the table, Mr. Barker, to add the emergency clause. Do we have a second? Seconded by Mr. Bub. This is a vote to add the emergency clause to this resolution. All those in favor signify with thumbs up. That passes with, all opposed, same sign. Okay, that passes with a vote of 5-0. Were we allowed to do that, Mr. Sassen, before we actually had a motion to accept?
Technically, no, but parliamentary procedures are violations of parliamentary procedures are not fatal. So we can move forward with the motion to adopt as amended.
All right. So
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion to adopt as amended by Parker, seconded by Bub. Do we have any other questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor of passing this on to council with the emergency clause, thumbs up. All opposed, same sign. That motion passes with a vote of 5-0. And that does conclude the service committee meeting. And I believe that concludes all committee meetings for this evening. Council will resume at a new Zoom channel at 7 p.m. See y'all then.